Hello and welcome to the Tech Webinar series. My name is Jan Ilman and I am the founder of Servoy. As usual, I'm joined by Sean Devlin, Senior Engineer of the USA team, also known as Guru Shanesha, although he usually only uses this name during Servoy World conferences. Welcome, Sean.
Thanks, Jan.
Wow, today is number 10, Sean. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
And I'm really enjoying this series. I mean, it's tough, especially for you, because you have to do a lot of the presentation and the preparation work. So we really appreciate that. We should send you a bottle of champagne or something. Um,
yeah, you
so
should.
I should, yeah. So what's really great about this series is all the different kinds of Servoy topics. It's nice and short, sample solutions, components with every session that we do. So we'll keep them going. If you keep sending in topics, that is obviously a key requirement. Today, the time is a little bit tricky because some of us are already in daylight savings time, unlike everybody in the US. While others, for example, in Europe, I'm not sure which countries all observe daylight savings time, but I think most in Europe don't. The good news is the recording will be online shortly, hopefully today or tomorrow. So if you missed it, you can go see it online. Before we get started, Servoy World is due in 2 months from today, and you can find all the details about it on servoy.com/servoyworld 2017. Make sure to register in time. In fact, especially to celebrate the 10th anniversary of this Tech Webinar series, I'm able to introduce to the first 5 people that respond. Just shoot me an email at jailman@servoy.com. The original early bird rate. So if you missed that out, it was 385 instead of it's 500 and something now, if I'm correct. Send me an email, and I can still get a few of you on the early bird rate to celebrate that you are actually attending or listening to edition number 10 of the Tech Webinar series. Due to popular demand, we are launching a new series within the series, which we're going to call microsamples. And in each microsample, a specific Servoy capability will be demonstrated, and we'll give you a small sample to get started. And today is phase 1, the framework that holds the sample solutions. And it uses some pretty cool features to auto-discover new samples as you drop them in. So as we start giving you new samples, probably every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks, you can just drop them in and continue to run them all together. Our idea is also to stick them on demo.servoy.com, which we're upgrading as we speak, so you'll be able to see them there soon as well. And today, Sean will be talking about this in more detail as we get started. If you do have any questions or comments, as always, make sure to post them in the questions section in your GoToWebinar control panel. So without further ado, let's get started. Sean, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Jan. Yeah, real quick, just about Servoy World, I would add that we have pre- and post-conference training on the Wednesday and Saturday surrounding the dates, and this year we have, I think, quite a few tracks, so there's a good mix of topics in there. Yeah, so we're announcing this thing called microsamples, maybe a bit of background of what it is and where it comes from. We had a company hackathon, a full company meeting back in January, and we had a lot of great ideas. One of the ideas that we worked on was sort of the challenge of how do we make the concepts of Servoy more accessible without having to go through searching documentation, downloading, installing things. We wanted to make it easier to understand what the capabilities are of Servoy. So we came up with this idea of an online sample gallery that also leads you to the next steps, like downloading a sample or seeing documentation or going the next step toward implementing it if you need it. So what we're going to do today is look at the online sample gallery. It is live on demo.servoy.com, and that's where it's going to live and be continually improved. We'll take a look at what the features are, and we'll discuss maybe the roadmap, since this is kind of our beta 1 of this idea. Why don't we jump right into the demo? Now, this will be a short webinar because today we don't have really a new topic. We're just sort of announcing this availability. But what's interesting is that we've done, this is number 10, so I think this is a good anniversary to look back at what we've worked on and think about how we can incorporate it into this effort. So for the past 10 tech webinars, we've tried to make it that the result of each webinar is either the announcement of a new module, a new extension, web component, a new new example demonstrating best practices. But we made the goal of every tech webinar that you could go and download something and try it out. And we're going to continue to do that because we think that it's really important not to just show you something, but to give you something that you can then work with. But now we start accruing lots and lots of samples, and it's a good thing. But we wanted to organize it in a way that we can make it so that you could browse it, and you know, if you're coming to this series late in the game, then you've already, you know, missed 10 webinars, 10 opportunities to learn stuff. You might just go right here and navigate and find what you need. So we've set up a kind of architecture where we can drop samples in, and they're exposed to the gallery, and then you can do things with them. So let's start with what we did last week, which was the example about filtering. So we did a demo on how to use the API for filtering found sets, and you could go in and select your favorite customers and do some filters like that. Great, but now it's something where you can find it live and you can browse it. If we update the sample, then we'll update it to the sample gallery. You might also notice that there are some buttons up here indicating that you can do more things. Like if you wanted to download the sample and get the actual binary, you can click this, and you can see that it begins downloading the .servoy file. If you want to go to the project home, maybe a better example would be we did one of the earlier ones we did was the text-based searching. So this is an extension. So this is a real module that's offered. So we can, just to review, I can find. Oh, I have it filtered. It's sharing. It's sharing with my filter. Hang on. I go back to here and remove my filters. Interesting. Well, this is what happens when your samples play together. Back to my text searching, and you know, if I was looking for something like coffee ordered in, say, Germany, right? You remember this one if you saw this webinar. If I want to go in and try the sample out without downloading, I can do it. And then if I decide that I like it, I might even want to know, hey, what's the source code behind this? And so you can see down here in this lower panel, it's showing me the source code. If I want to maximize that, I can. And now I can really take a look at the commented source code and say, okay, this is something I think I can handle. What's the next step? Maybe the next step is to go to the project home on GitHub, or if I want some more information, there's also, each sample can expose information. Again, I can pop this out, and this is actually pooling wiki Markdown wiki from the GitHub site, but it could also just be something that's just included with the sample. So here I could link out and say, oh wow, there's a video. I want to open this in a new tab and go watch that kind of thing. In addition, I might just want to go straight to the GitHub homepage, and that's where I can see, okay, wow, there's wiki documentation here, and I can really dive in and get started. So the idea is that that every sample, every demo solution that we make is going to have hooks to expose things like where to download it from, where to get more info, maybe source code. And we're finding that with Servoy 8, we're able to release and update components and NG services and new modules pretty quickly, so that it's hard to keep all that stuff fresh so that you know what's happening. But the idea here is that we could make it so you could actually go in and browse for stuff and try it out, and then if you determine that you like it, then you can take the next step. So yeah, it's really driven by this plug-and-play architecture, which I think if we look into the future, folks from the community providing their own samples, because really all you have to do is extend a base form and implement a few methods to tell where to get the download, where to get source code, etc., and then it's live and ready to go. So it's a pretty short webinar. As I said, it's just an announcement. Where to try this out. So demo.servoy.com to the microsamples gallery. If you follow that link, you can try it out live there. And pretty much everything, once you're inside there, all the other links you can find. So Jan, do we have any questions so far?
Yes, it looks like the server is currently under an error message because apparently too many people are hitting it at the same time. So I guess
I'm getting licenses in there as we speak.
Oh, we didn't put in Servoy licenses, so that's maybe a good idea to do that.
Yeah.
We will address that as soon as possible. There is a comment from Bob who says, "This is freaking awesome." There's a few, let me check the questions channel here. There's a few suggestions coming in for future topics.
Well, that's what I'm really looking for, is to challenge you guys who are listening to go to the forum topic where we update this stuff, forum.servoy.com. There's a special topic in there, and provide feedback about what you've seen, and also feedback about what topics you want to see covered. And these can be best practices. We find the best practices ones are pretty popular, but also what components and new modules you have ideas for. Let us know on the forum. I also challenge everyone, if you don't already have a GitHub account, to create a GitHub account. GitHub.com/Servoy is where you'll find all of the projects that we do, all these open source projects. And right there, if you start using something, you can file issues, you can file feature requests on the individual project that you're interested in.
Yeah, there's a question on GitHub, Sean. Some of us are having issues getting started with Git because we're new to it. Is it an idea, and I'm not sure if we've done this in the past, to do a small session about getting started with GitHub and Servoy?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that it is a bit difficult to get started with Git if you're new. However, I would point out that all of the releases that we make, we do also binary releases. So if you want to just get a .servoy file, the traditional import approach, that will work. You don't have to run Git as a version control system to be able to access the source code. But if you do want to run from source, which is really fun because then you get the very latest, then by all means you need Git. But again, we're able to do faster iterations on at least on like the web component stuff, because it's not really tied to the Servoy platform. And so typically we're doing a minor release for bug fixes and enhancements on those projects. So you really don't need to do Git to be able to get them. You just need a GitHub account.
Okay. So with Git, you can easily update to the latest version just by running an update. And you said you can also get the .servoy file and just import that. Is the more classic way. Where is typically the .servoy file located? Maybe you can give an example on screen with the SVY charts in Git.
Okay. Let's go back over to. You can see my browser, right?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
So from the sample gallery, you may have noticed that. For the filter one, you saw that I came in here, I went to the filter sample, and then I clicked the download button, and then you saw that it downloaded the .servoy file. But if you want to go to the project site, go here, and then you could go to releases, and so there you can see all of the releases, and every release includes binaries. So example filter.servoy was what we released 2 weeks ago. When we did the last webinar on filtering. So if you just create this account, you go to github.com/servoy. You can see the repositories. You can search repositories. So if I was looking for something like chart, I can say, okay, wow, there's chart.js and Google Charts. So chart.js is the one that I saw. Go in here, say, okay, there's one release available, and you can go and get it.
Excellent. That looks a lot easier than I thought it was.
Yeah, and we typically will release the actual, like for modules like web components, ng services, and modules. We will typically release the example solution as a .servoy file. But if you don't want that and you just want to get the latest build for the component that you need, then you just go and grab this.
Cool. And again, if you guys have tech questions on downloading the solutions or getting the components lined up and working, then you can just go to that forum thread where we have all the questions and support for these webinar series. Feel free to post questions on the forum. It's good to stay active on the Servoy forum as well. All right, it looks like most questions have been answered. Today was a brief session, and on the next one, we're going to do a web components update. Do you already have an idea on which web components, Jan, or is it still secret?
Well, we're keeping it secret. We want to make sure that things will be ready in time, but we do have a nice new component on the roadmap. If it's done in 2 weeks, then we'll be announcing it. If not, we have lots of updates on existing components. Things are changing very quickly. And I think there are still yet a few components that we've built that haven't been properly released yet and announced. It's really a whole grab bag of things that we can choose from. But it will be a web component update in 2 weeks. Again, we're going to keep the series going every 2 weeks as we can. We'll probably have an interruption in May for Servoy World, and that will be the only thing stopping us.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody for attending, and Sean, thanks for presenting, and we hope to see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you.